On the Nostalgia Time program, again for this Wednesday, I'd like to introduce you once more to Miss Dragonfly. Good morning to you, Miss Dragonfly. How are you?
Good morning, John, and it's always great to be here.
That's good. You have been enlightening us with Feng Shui and the meanings and what it means to people. So, what are you doing today?
Okay. It is a very big subject. So
Yes.
a lot of people have an interest in it. Unfortunately, though, there is a lot of misconceptions of it.
Yes.
So it started with going through the history and the origins of Feng Shui, and this week we'll continue.
All right.
Last week, I went through that there are actually two schools of Feng Shui,
Yes.
the Form School and the Compass School. Now, the Form School is about the physical layout. The Compass School is about utilizing the dynamic energies and identifying where they are in order so that you can utilize them. So, the Compass School, you will need a Feng Shui expert to identify what they are. This week, we will start with the Form School. This is something people can look out for themselves. Okay. Now, throughout history, one part of survival meant choosing the right shelter from the wind, the rain, and predators. So we'll start on choosing the right place to live. That's the first off. Feng Shui really deals with comfort. So arranging things or choosing places that provide a level of comfort is good. If anything makes you uncomfortable, the feeling isn't good. You just don't feel right. And so if that is permanent fixture there, you're going to feel uncomfortable all the time.
Yeah.
So, starting off with apartments, when choosing apartments. Now, what would make you feel uncomfortable is sharp arrows or sharp edges. You just don't feel too good.
No, certainly wouldn't.
It's just a matter, it's kind of like someone point a knife at you.
Yeah.
It's a sharp point. I mean, it's not hurting you because it's only pointing.
Yes, that's right.
Like, no contact, no nothing, but you just don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So, it's that feeling.
It's like a broken glass or
Yes.
a mirror. If it's there, you know it's there.
There. Even though it doesn't, you might not never look in that mirror.
Yep.
Or anything, but it's just the feeling, you just don't feel good. So you just don't feel good about it all the time. And over the long term, it can make you feel unwell.
Yeah, yes, it could.
Yeah. And that's the premise on why we avoid sharp angles
Yeah.
and sharp points. So if you're living in your apartment and there's a sharp angle or sharp point from another building, that is bad because that's going to be a permanent fixture. You're going to have that point pointed at you all the time.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. And that's why. Another thing is what we call lonely building syndrome. Basically, if you're in an apartment and your apartment is the only apartment block there, it's just sticking out of the ground. And everywhere, there's no other apartment blocks around.
Yes.
Some people can say yippee, whatever, but might be nothing around or even just ordinary houses around. It also just feels a bit lonely.
Yeah.
It just feels a bit strange again.
Well, you have an uncertainty as to whether it's going to be swaying
Yeah.
in the wind.
That's vertical, yes. So that provides a level of discomfort. So that is one thing to consider. If you are in the building, but there are other apartment blocks around you,
Yes.
you don't feel as bad. You feel a certain level of protection, don't you? You're in amongst company.
Yes, that's right.
You don't feel as lonely. That is good. However, if you're above everyone else, the feeling is bad. So that's why, those penthouses that they usually flog off
Yes.
on the top floor of the building. And so when you look around, you might have the greatest views. However, it's more like a desert. There's no one around around you. And so the effect of that is why you may do well in your business or financially because only wealthy people can afford the top floor.
Yeah.
Generally.
That's usually what happens.
Yes, usually what happens. However, the flip side is that the human relations aren't very good.
Yes.
So they may not have a very good marriage, family life not too good, or they may end up being sued by people, that sort of thing. No good human relations. Also, when you see those in Dubai, for example, where the companies that compete as to who's got the biggest and the highest buildings, so forth,
Yes.
that's actually not very good.
No, some of them are very scary. There's a swimming pool on top of one. I forget the name of that one. But there's two buildings and
Yeah.
it's linked with a swimming pool spanning the top floors.
I mean, would you feel good swimming there?
No. No.
Even though there's no danger knowing you're going to fall off, but it's just the feeling.
No. I get rubbery feet.
Yeah.
Very jelly feet.
Bad feeling, avoid.
Yeah.
And if you keep getting that anxiety, you're not going to feel well.
No, you certainly wouldn't.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't.
So this is where it all comes from. The other thing is, if there is a narrow gap formed by a pair of tall buildings,
Yes.
what happens is strong wind will pass through that gap.
Yeah.
That's usually the case. And that's not very good because and your window or your balcony is facing straight out of it. It's physical discomfort from the strong wind. And also, you don't get much of appreciate the outdoors or much benefit from it.
Well, mainly from that, if
And
it's
from
coming
that-
through a narrow gap.
A narrow gap as well. So those
Yeah.
things avoid.
And the velocity
Yeah.
will intensify.
You got to open the door in order to have some contact with nature, but the wind the rush is just so strong. And we're saying the chi energy is just too strong for you to utilize. In a practical sense, that strong wind, avoid.
Yeah.
Also, if your apartment is facing the roof of another building, straight in line with that, not a good feeling. All you see is the rooftop of the next door neighbour.
No, you'd
In a
rather
practical
see
sense.
some landscape, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh, no, you don't want to live and look after a while. If you look, it doesn't feel too good. That's something to avoid. Oh, yes, what we call peeping Shah. That is a tall building behind several shorter buildings.
All right.
And not good if you're actually in a shorter building. You feel like there's a peeping Tom.
Oh, yeah, probably.
You know, if you're there and you feel the next building's so much taller, everyone's just able to look in.
It's like a block of flats next door to your house, and
Yeah.
people can see into your backyard even though there's nothing going on.
It doesn't go on. It just feeling doesn't feel good. You feel an invasion of privacy. You don't feel comfortable.
We'll be back in a few minutes' time. We're just going to have a short break.
Continuing with what to look for when choosing your place to live, either you're choosing an apartment or a house. Now for houses, the same rules apply as for apartments that we just went through. Poison arrows. Remember, we're avoiding anything sharp, anything directly to us. This is the classic poison arrow from incoming traffic. This is probably what quite a few people have heard about. Have you heard about do not live at the end of a T-junction?
Yes, I have. There's no way I would do it.
That's a classic, eh?
Yeah.
But why won't you do it?
Oh, because a car will lose its brakes and
Slam right in.
yeah, end up into your house, even through a fence.
Yeah. And some people say I don't bother because what's the chances of that happening? But I'm saying that is a very practical consideration because you always get a sense of cars coming straight at you.
Yeah.
So you understand the sense why it's called a poison arrow?
Yeah.
Being shot
definitely
straight at you. I know they're supposed to come from the other direction and they're supposed to slow down and either turn left or right. But you always get a sense of it just being missed.
Yep. And it does.
But it just doesn't feel good. I mean, it's kind of if someone kept pointing a knife at you. And because this sort of thing is being spread quite widely now, as do not live there, I have noticed that when they're having a development, like say a townhouse development or even apartment blocks and happens to be in a T-junction,
Yes.
they are not placing any townhouses directly there.
Yeah.
The way they've planned it is that it becomes the driveway.
And if they do, they put in these great big steel, what would they call them, girders or something, into the ground. At least a metre or two into the ground and above. It's almost impossible to bend them if somebody crashes into them. I've seen them. They're over North Shore way.
Really? But would you still live in that?
No,
And why?
because of that fact.
Yeah, because it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, there's always the chance that
Yeah, and it just doesn't feel right. And if you keep having that bad feeling all the time, eventually you're going to feel ill.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's the sense. Again, sharp angles from other buildings. Make sure that the house does not receive a sharp angle pointing at it. If you have the choice when you're buying a house on that particular street, always choose the higher side of the street. That's always a better option. For the same reason as we said for Peeping Tom. You have a feeling of more being supported rather than being... I've seen houses, well, you're probably familiar with them. They're actually lower than the street level. I think they put kind of like a drain or something for the water when it flows in, down. Yeah. But always your sense is that you're kind of buried. kind of like you're feeling below ground level.
Yes.
Subterranean.
That's very interesting.
You don't think of it until it's pointed out.
No.
Okay. And also, being in a street with slow-moving traffic is better than a highway. So being on a quiet street better than being on Parramatta Road, I'd say. A highway or something like that. I guess, one, it's a lot quieter.
Yes.
Secondly, also, it is a lot quieter, a lot cleaner, and also safer as well. And you feel more peaceful there.
I live in a street where it was, in the early days, very quiet. But now, since they've changed the road rules to a degree, the next street up, and I say up is because there is a school there and they won't allow them to park anywhere near the school. So what they do, they use our street as a bypass to go past. And it has become extremely busy. But it is still reasonably quiet.
Yeah, it's still kind of like a residential street.
Yes.
But not the way it was before.
No, so it does change.
Yeah. So, yes, it does change, as you see. But also, what we call in Feng Shui, very busy street, is very strong rush of energy.
Yep.
So you don't get the benefit of the energies of stopping by your house.
Yes.
It's kind of like the analogy were as before it used to be strong flowing river, but they're now almost the traffic is kind of like that pattern. Yeah, because it's very, very strong. It's kind of like Parramatta Road. See all those empty shops along Parramatta Road? All those if you pass Parramatta Road, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, because the traffic is one, it's strong, and secondly, it does not get a chance to stop.
There's nowhere to stop.
No, there's nowhere to stop. Those shops, you cannot make any money in a shop there. However, if it slows down, it's better. Saying, how will it slow down? If there's a bus stop there. Bus stop, if you happen to be in a busy road.
I should imagine a bus stop would be an open invitation when people get off and on.
Yeah, if you've got a shop, that's what people get a chance. It slows down. It slows the traffic down. People get off.
Yep.
They get to see your shop or stop by your shop. And we're going to talk more about Feng Shui in business. Get along. If you're in a busy street, but there happen to be a bus stop, say even a few doors down, they're still fine because the traffic slows, and the traffic behind has to slow for the bus as well.
Yes, of course. That's the way it would happen.
The other thing is, how does the traffic flow? As well, the directions. If the traffic is gently curving around your property, that's very good. So it's more like it's been embraced. Your house has been embraced.
Yeah.
Rather than if traffic is being curved away from your house. I guess the analogy I can draw is like if you live on one of the corner blocks of, say, a roundabout.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
So the traffic is not embracing you. It's actually curving around you for that.
With the risk of saying that it could be resembling Canberra, there are numerous very large roundabouts there. But on most of them, there is no building, no structure, no nothing, except for in the centre of that roundabout itself.
So, following on from the traffic, that's more common. But however, if you happen to live in a semi-rural area and you happen to be like a river or a creek or something, well, if it's curving around your house, it's good, as opposed to curving towards and then away from your house. Oh, like there's no-through roads. They're coming, and then if you're, say, on the side of on the semicircle of the no-through road, at the end, it curves to your house and then away from your house, because that's how the traffic has to go.
Yes, that's right.
That's not very good.
Okay, then.
Okay?
Yep.
Now, that's all we have time for this week.
Yes.
Next week, we will be looking at the house itself. Talking about the house itself.
Okay, then. That'll be great.
That'll be great. We're getting it. Okay, we've done the outside. Now we're going to step in.
All right.
Okay. So anyone who wants to contact me, they can do so on my Facebook page.
Yes.
Just search for Miss Dragonfly, or send me an email to missdragonfly@easternguidance.com.
Once again, thank you very much, Miss Dragonfly, for coming in. And we do look forward to your presence here again next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.